Well, Donald Trump on the Joe Rogan Experience.
Yeah, just days before the election.
Hmm.
Really interesting timing.
I mean, Joe Rogan, he's got this massive audience.
Yeah.
People might remember him from, his comedy days or uh, news radio, maybe Fear Factor.
Right.
But it's his podcast. It's really become this phenomenon.
Yeah, particularly with young men.
That seems like who Trump's going for here.
Absolutely.
We've seen him pop up on these other podcasts too, like
Yeah.
Theo Vaughn, Aiden Ross.
Right. He's kind of like sidestepping traditional media
Yeah.
and going right to these voters online.
It's unconventional, but I mean, it kind of works.
It does.
That Theo Vaughn interview had 14 million views on YouTube.
It's crazy.
That's a lot of potential voters,
It is.
especially when you think about, Joe Rogan Experience is the top podcast in the U.S.
Yeah, and 80% male listeners.
Okay.
But the real wild card is like the political leanings.
Oh, interesting.
It's really diverse. You got Democrats, Republicans, independents.
So this is not just preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
This is about swaying those undecided voters.
Exactly. The ones who could really swing the election.
Rogan himself doesn't fit neatly into any box.
No, not really.
He's I think he even called himself a bleeding heart liberal
Yeah.
once.
He did, yeah.
I mean, he's for things like the Second Amendment, strong military,
Mm-hmm.
but he also, believes in a good social safety net.
It's an interesting combination.
Yeah, it's unique. And, he's not new to politics.
Right.
He's interviewed Bernie Sanders, even endorsed him back in 2020.
That's right.
But, when it comes to Trump, it's different.
Yeah.
He's even said he wouldn't have him on the show
Yeah.
because he didn't want to help rehab his image.
Makes you wonder what's changed.
Yeah.
Why now?
So is this just giving a platform to a big political figure?
I don't know.
Or is there something more going on?
Yeah.
Rogan's no stranger to controversy, though.
That's true.
His show's explored, some really out there theories.
So the question is, will this be a free pass for Trump
Right.
to just push his campaign stuff?
Yeah.
Or is Rogan gonna challenge him?
Really push back.
Ask those tough questions.
On the other side of things, Kamala Harris wanted to go on the show.
Interesting.
Couldn't make it work. Scheduling.
It's almost a missed opportunity.
Feels that way, yeah.
Yeah.
She'll be at a rally with Beyonce,
Okay.
has an interview with Brené Brown.
Interesting.
So it begs the question, is this a strategic move by Trump,
Could be.
trying to reach an audience that might be more receptive?
Yeah.
An audience that traditional media just isn't getting to.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes you think, how much has media changed?
Yeah, it's totally got
Candidates are, playing catch-up.
right. It's not the old playbook anymore.
No, it's not. It used to be all about those network TV appearances,
Wow.
the classic, campaign stops.
Yep.
But now it's you got to meet voters where they are.
Mm.
And for a lot of people, younger generations especially,
Right.
it's podcasts, it's online platforms.
Sure.
You can't deny Rogan's reach, though.
No.
Millions of listeners.
Mm-hmm.
And those long interviews, he really gets into it.
Yeah, he does.
So for someone like Trump, it's a huge opportunity, but
Risky.
could be a landmine.
Okay.
On the one hand, it's a chance to show a different side,
More human.
less polished.
Connect with people who aren't watching cable news.
Yeah, exactly.
But Rogan, he's unpredictable.
That's true. He's willing to entertain any idea.
Yeah.
So no guarantee it'll be easy.
No.
And he's pushed back on guests before.
He's not afraid to ask the tough questions.
No, not at all.
So that's what makes this interview, I don't know, I'm on the edge of my seat.
Me too.
We have no idea what's going to happen.
No clue.
Will Rogan play devil's advocate?
Yeah. Or will he just let Trump, just run with his campaign message?
Unchallenged.
Or will he press him on, some of the stuff from his past?
And how will Trump handle that?
I know, right?
He's used to controlling the narrative.
Yeah, so used to.
It's unscripted. This is Rogan. Anything could happen.
Anything. And Rogan's audience, they expect him to be,
Unfiltered.
real, challenging. That's his whole brand.
Yeah.
It's a high-stakes gamble.
For both of them.
For both of them.
He's trying to get those new voters.
Right.
But he's also, putting himself out there.
Yeah, he could face some real scrutiny.
Yeah.
Rogan, on the other hand, this is a chance to show what he can do.
To show he can hold powerful people accountable.
Yeah, even Trump.
It's going to be interesting to see how the mainstream media reacts.
Oh, yeah.
Will they, dismiss it as a stunt?
Yeah.
Or will they acknowledge, how this could actually affect the election?
I think think it's a sign of the times.
Yeah.
You can't ignore these alternative media platforms anymore.
Okay.
They're shaping the conversation.
Right.
And they're playing a bigger and bigger role in all of this.
So what does this mean for politics going forward?
I don't know. It's hard to say.
Are we going to see, like, more candidates skipping those traditional outlets
Maybe.
and just going straight to these platforms?
It's possible.
This feels like a turning point.
Yeah, it does.
Raises a lot of questions.
So many questions.
About journalism, about, how we talk about politics,
Yeah.
about how we as citizens, like, even engage with information in this whole digital world.
It's a fascinating case study.
It is.
And, wherever you stand politically,
Yeah.
it's worth paying attention to.
Absolutely. This interview, this could have effects way beyond just this election.
I think so.
It could change how campaigns are run,
Total.
how candidates, talk to voters,
Yeah.
how we even get political news.
And it's a reminder. I mean, media is always changing.
Mhm.
We got to be like critical thinkers.
Yeah.
Evaluating information, looking at different sources.
After perspective.
Yeah.
And I think most importantly, we all have a role to play in this,
Absolutely.
in shaping our democracy.
Yeah.
By staying informed, having these conversations.
And holding our leaders accountable.
Now, Kamala Harris,
Right.
remember, she wanted to be on Rogan's show,
She did.
but couldn't make it work.
Right.
She's going with the Beyonce rally and the Brene Brown interview.
Yeah, very different choice of platforms.
So what's your take on that? Different audience, different message.
Oh, totally. It's a smart move.
Okay.
She's using like the power of celebrity
Beyonce, yeah.
and the influence of someone like Brene Brown.
I mean, Beyonce doesn't need an introduction.
No.
Global icon.
Huge appeal.
And Brene Brown, she's all about vulnerability, shame, courage.
Yeah.
It's a different vibe than Rogan.
Yeah. Very different.
So Harris is crafting a message for a different segment of voters.
For sure.
People who might be drawn to, those themes of empathy.
Yeah, connection, social justice. It's almost like she's presenting an alternative to Trump on Rogan.
Yeah.
He's trying to reach those voters who feel, ignored by the establishment.
Right.
And Harris is appealing to those who want a leader who gets their struggles.
Yeah.
Who wants a more inclusive America.
Okay.
It's fascinating. They both realize that traditional media has its limits.
Mm-hmm.
They're both trying to connect with voters on a deeper level.
Okay.
But they're doing it in totally different ways.
Yeah.
It's a clash of styles.
The real battle for voters' attention.
In this new media world,
Yeah.
it's going to be wild to see how it all plays out.
I think so too. Like, we're watching how we talk about politics change right in front of us.
Yeah. It's crazy to think like a year ago who would have said Joe Rogan could be this important in a presidential election.
It really shows how powerful these platforms are.
Mm.
It's not the same rules as the old media.
Nope.
Which is good and bad, I guess.
Definitely a double-edged sword.
On the one hand, it's new conversations challenging the way things are.
Right.
But then you get these echo chambers,
Yeah.
misinformation, conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
It can get out of control.
It can.
Because we got to be smarter about the information we see.
Absolutely. We can't just believe everything we hear.
We got to question things, cross-check things
Right.
for ourselves.
Exactly.
That's why I think these conversations we're having are so important.
I agree.
We have to talk about this stuff.
Mm.
Look at it from all sides. Figure out how to deal with this new media world.
It's like we're all figuring it out as we go.
Yeah, totally uncharted territory.
For sure.
So before we wrap up, I'm curious, what are you going to be looking for when this interview drops?
Good question.
What are the key things you want to see come out of it?
I think for me, it's all about the tone and what they actually talk about. Will Rogan push back on Trump's claims? Will he challenge him, or will he let Trump just take over the conversation?
Right, and will Trump actually try to connect with voters or just stick to his usual talking points?
Yeah, those are all great points.
And I think we also have to think about the bigger picture here.
Mm-hmm.
Could this be the start of something new?
Like what?
Candidates ditching the traditional media and going straight to these more personal platforms.
Yeah, and how would that change elections in the future? How would it change how we talk about politics?
It's a big question we need to consider.
Yeah, we're in uncharted territory, and this is important stuff.
Absolutely. I'm definitely making time to listen to this interview when it comes out.
Me too. It's going to be fascinating.
Be a real turning point in this crazy election.
Couldn't agree more.
And for everyone listening, I hope you'll do the same. Pay attention. Think critically. Come to your own conclusions.
Well said.
All right, so that's all from us this time, but keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.